Sarah was folding laundry when her phone buzzed on the couch. It was late, the kind of quiet hour when the house finally stopped asking things from her. She almost ignored it. Then she saw her sister's name. The message was short. Sharp. Don't come to Mom's retirement party. She doesn't want you there. Sarah read it twice, then a third time. She whispered, "What?" to an empty room. No explanation followed. No call. No apology. Just silence. A few seconds later, a small notification appeared under the message. Dad liked this. Sarah felt something cold settle in her chest. She sat down slowly. So that's it, she said aloud. She typed back one word. Cool. Before I continue, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and let me know in the comments where you're watching from today. Your one click really helps support the channel. Then she stared at the screen, waiting for anything, another message, a correction, a joke. Nothing came. She locked her phone and leaned back, eyes on the ceiling. For the first time in her life, she did not ask what she had done wrong. She asked a different question. Was I ever wanted here, or just needed? Sarah was 34 years old when that question finally formed clearly in her mind. From the outside, her family looked perfect. Neighbors waved. Photos were posted every holiday. Smiles were wide and polished. Inside the house, framed memories filled the hallway. Birthdays, graduations, vacations. People saw happiness. What they didn't see was who made those moments happen. That was almost always Sarah. She had a stable job that required planning and problem-solving, and over time, those skills spilled into her family life. She booked venues, paid deposits, handled details. No one asked her to. They just waited, and she stepped in. Her mother liked things done properly. Her father liked peace. Her younger sister, Lily, liked attention. Growing up, when something broke, Sarah was asked, "Why weren't you more careful?" When Lily broke something, her mother laughed and said, "She's just spirited." That pattern never changed. It only wore nicer clothes as they got older. When Sarah's mother announced her retirement, everyone agreed it should be celebrated. "It needs to be special," Lily said, clapping her hands. "Mom deserves a big moment." Their father nodded. "Nothing stressful," he added. Somehow, without discussion, all eyes turned to Sarah. She didn't resist. "I'll handle it," she said quietly. She found a warm venue, not flashy, just comfortable. She spoke with caterers. She chose food her mother actually liked. She paid the bills silently, the way she always did. Money was a problem she knew how to solve. One evening, while reviewing receipts, Sarah paused on an old photo nearby. It showed her as a child in the kitchen, holding her mother's hands while they laughed. "Maybe this will bring us back," she murmured. Maybe this party could be a bridge. She didn't expect praise. She just expected to be there. The text message shattered that hope without warning. Sarah replayed it again and again. "She doesn't want you there." She tried to imagine her mother saying it. She couldn't. She thought about calling, but something stopped her. Her father's quiet approval hurt more than the words. He had always stayed neutral. When fights happened, he stayed silent. Sarah once believed that meant fairness. Now she knew it meant comfort. That night, she opened her laptop and pulled up the venue email. Her hands didn't shake. "If I'm not welcome," she said softly, "then neither is my money." She canceled the booking. Then the catering. Then the rentals. One by one, everything disappeared. The calm surprised her. She slept deeply that night. Days passed. No one apologized. Instead, messages arrived asking why things were delayed. "What's going on with the party?" her mother asked. Lily accused her of being dramatic. No one asked how Sarah felt. They only noticed when the work stopped. That's when Sarah understood. They didn't miss her. They missed what she provided. She didn't respond. She let the silence sit where she usually rushed to fix things. On the morning of the party, Sarah woke early out of habit. Then she smiled sadly and went back to sleep. Somewhere across town, a celebration was already falling apart. And Sarah, for the first time, was not there to save it. Sarah spent the morning of the party in a small cafe across town, one she had never visited before. It felt important to be somewhere neutral. She ordered coffee and sat by the window, watching strangers move through their own lives. Her phone buzzed once. Then again. She didn't look. "Not today," she whispered. She already knew what was happening. Without her, nothing ran smoothly. Around noon, curiosity won. She checked one message, from a cousin. No words. Just a photo. The party had been moved to the garage. Folding chairs sat unevenly on the concrete. A banner sagged against the wall. Sarah stared at it for a long moment. So this is what happens, she murmured. She didn't feel joy. She felt distance. Clean, quiet distance. That evening, the calls began. Lily was first. What did you do? She snapped. You embarrassed us. Sarah listened without interrupting. You told me not to come, she replied calmly. I respected that. Lily scoffed. You always do this. You take things personally. Sarah ended the call. Her mother rang next. Why didn't you finish the arrangements? Margaret demanded. Sarah closed her eyes. Because I wasn't invited, she said. There was a pause. Then a sigh. You're overreacting. Sarah hung up. Even her father tried once, leaving a voicemail filled with half-sentences and silence. No one asked if she was hurt. They only asked why things stopped working. A few days later, Lily texted like nothing had happened. Family dinner Sunday. Don't be childish. Sarah read it twice and set the phone down. For the first time, she didn't rush to restore peace. Instead, she prepared for a work trip scheduled the following week. Against her better judgment, she called her parents. Can you watch my dog while I'm gone? She asked. He loves the yard. Her mother agreed quickly. Of course, she said. We're not monsters. Sarah ignored the uneasy feeling in her stomach. It's just a few days, she told herself. Nothing can go wrong. When Sarah returned, something felt wrong the moment she opened the door. The house was too quiet. No pause. No excited barking. Her mother stood in the hallway, arms crossed. He's gone, Margaret said flatly. Sarah froze. Gone where? She asked. Your sister handled it, her mother replied. She found him a new home. The words didn't make sense. Without asking me. Sarah said. Her mother frowned. You were upset. We assumed you wouldn't mind later. Sarah felt the room tilt. This wasn't about a party anymore. This was something else. Something final. Sarah didn't yell. She didn't cry. She asked one question. Did anyone have my permission? No one answered. Her father stared at the floor. She said it was best, he muttered. Sarah nodded slowly. You were wrong, she said. She walked out without another word and sat in her car, hands steady on the wheel. For years, she had been the solution, the fixer, the quiet one. But they had crossed a line they couldn't explain away. That night, Sarah gathered paperwork, vet records, adoption forms, receipts. The next morning, she made one phone call. Not to family. To someone who understood consequences. And everything began to change. The woman on the phone listened without interrupting as Sarah explained everything. She kept her voice steady and stuck to facts. My dog was given away without my consent while I was out of town, Sarah said. There was a short pause. That's not a family disagreement, the woman replied. That's a legal issue. Sarah closed her eyes. Hearing that felt like relief. What happens next? She asked. We verify ownership, the woman said. If your sister sold the dog, that's theft. Sarah thanked her and ended the call. For the first time in days, her chest felt lighter. This wasn't about feelings anymore. It was about rights. Things moved quickly after that. Officers arrived at her parents' house the same afternoon. Margaret looked shocked. This is unnecessary, she insisted. Robert stood behind her, silent. We were just trying to help, Margaret added. One officer turned to Sarah. Do you have documentation? Sarah nodded and handed everything over. The officers reviewed each paper carefully. Who transferred the dog? One asked. Margaret hesitated. That pause said enough. My daughter, she admitted. Lily. The officer nodded. And where is she now? On her way, Margaret said quietly. Lily arrived smiling, confident as ever. What's all this? She asked, glancing at the uniforms. Did you sell a dog that wasn't yours? An officer asked. Lily laughed. I rehomed him. He was better off. Did you have permission? The officer asked. Lily rolled her eyes. She would have agreed eventually. Sarah said nothing. She watched as the officer explained the law. Lily's smile faded. When the handcuffs came out, Margaret screamed. This is family, she cried. The officer's voice stayed calm. Family doesn't give you ownership. The station was quiet and cold. Sarah answered questions clearly. No drama. No exaggeration. They told her how much Lily had sold the dog for. It wasn't much. That hurt more than she expected. Would you like to press charges? An officer asked. Sarah hesitated. I want my dog back, she said. We'll locate him, the officer replied. That night, Sarah went home alone. The apartment felt wrong without the familiar sound of paws. Her phone filled with messages she didn't read. She slept poorly, but her decision was firm. The call came early the next morning. We found him, the officer said. Sarah's hands shook as she drove to the station. The moment she walked in, the dog ran toward her, tail wild, body shaking. She dropped to her knees. Hey, buddy, she whispered, holding him tight. Tears finally came. Later, when asked again about charges, Sarah nodded. Yes, she said. This wasn't revenge. It was a boundary. And this time, it would hold. Sarah's parents expected everything to end once the dog was returned. Margaret left a long voicemail that night. Her voice moved from calm to angry to pleading. You've made your point, she said. This has gone too far. Sarah listened once and deleted it. For the first time, the threat underneath the words was clear. They didn't miss her. They missed control. Lily sent one message from an unknown number. You ruined my life. Sarah didn't reply. She understood something now. Fixing things had never protected her. It had only trained them to expect more. The legal process continued without drama. Restitution was handled through proper channels. There were no apologies, only resentment. Sarah changed the locks on her apartment and updated her emergency contacts. Removing names felt strange, like erasing habits rather than people. She blocked Lily's number. She stopped checking her parents' social media. The silence that followed wasn't heavy. It was steady. She cooked meals she liked. She took long walks with her dog. Each small choice felt like reclaiming space that had always been occupied by obligation. One afternoon, a coworker asked why Sarah seemed different. Lighter, she said, smiling. Sarah thought for a moment. I stopped explaining myself, she replied. At night, memories still surfaced. The party, the text message, the moment she realized she was replaceable. But those thoughts no longer controlled her. They passed through and moved on. Her dog slept pressed against her leg every night, as if guarding something invisible. Sarah didn't move when he did that. She let the comfort stay. Weeks later, her mother tried again. If you don't let this go, Margaret said on a voicemail, you're choosing to walk away from the family. Sarah deleted it without listening twice. It wasn't a warning. It was confirmation. A family that only worked if one person stayed silent was not a family she could survive in. She saved the message, not as proof, but as a reminder. She no longer needed permission to choose herself. Sarah stood in her kitchen one quiet evening, watching her dog eat dinner, and felt something new settle in her chest. Peace. It wasn't loud or dramatic. It didn't demand attention. It just stayed. For years, she believed love meant endurance. Now she understood the truth. Love didn't require her to disappear. And choosing herself didn't make her cruel. It made her honest. The hardest part was over. What remained was learning how to live without apology. Sarah didn't announce her distance from her family. She didn't post explanations or wait for understanding. She simply stopped showing up. Invitations went unanswered. Messages stayed unread. At first, it felt unnatural, like forgetting something important. Then it began to feel normal. She realized how much energy she had spent managing other people's emotions. Without that weight, her days opened up. She laughed more easily. She slept without tension in her shoulders. The world felt wider when she wasn't constantly shrinking herself to fit inside someone else's expectations. One evening, Sarah ran into an old family friend at the grocery store. Your mother misses you, the woman said gently. Sarah nodded. I hope she's well, she replied. She didn't explain further. For the first time, she understood that explanations were not bridges. They were invitations for debate. She no longer needed to prove her pain or justify her absence. The truth didn't require witnesses to exist. As months passed, Sarah began building a life that felt intentional. She spent weekends with friends who showed up without keeping score. She made plans that didn't revolve around obligation. Sometimes she caught herself waiting for the next crisis, the next demand. When nothing came, she smiled. The quiet wasn't empty. It was safe. Her dog grew calmer too, no longer pacing at unfamiliar voices or sudden tension. They were healing together. On the anniversary of her mother's retirement, Sarah noticed the date only because it appeared on her calendar by accident. She stared at it for a moment, then deleted the reminder. There was no anger left, only understanding. Some people loved conditionally. Some families survived by choosing a scapegoat. Sarah refused to play that role anymore. She closed her laptop and took her dog for a walk, breathing in the evening air like it was new. Sarah used to believe that being needed was the same as being loved. Now she knew better. Love didn't erase you. It didn't punish you for having limits. Walking away wasn't a failure. It was survival. And as she locked her door that night, the sound echoed softly behind her, not like an ending, but like a beginning she had finally chosen for herself. Thank you for watching till the end. Stories like this remind us that choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. If this resonated with you, you're not alone. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video and share your thoughts in the comments.